Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kathleen Mitford, and I'm the Corporate Vice President of Global Industry Marketing here at Microsoft. And we have a great session planned for you over the next 45 minutes. We're going to hear from leaders in the industry that are frontier firms themselves about their journey and what they're doing to transform their business with AI. But before we go there, I want to set a little bit of context. If you think back 15 years, 10 years ago, could you have imagined a world where it would be possible to have a personal tutor for students 24/7? Could you have imagined a world where thousands of lives are being saved because of early cancer detection? Or a world where we have autonomous cars that predict hazards on the road? That isn't the future. That is happening today. AI is transforming products, it's transforming services, and it's transforming businesses. So today, we're going to talk about being frontier. What does it mean to be frontier? It means using AI to transform every part of your business, every function, every role, every business process. And that is the vision that we have for you on your journey. When we look across all of the thousands and thousands of companies that we work with, we see that there are 4 key areas that are driving value today with AI. The first is on enriching employee experiences. It's using AI to transform the way your employees work. The second area is on reinventing the way that we engage with customers. The third is on reshaping our business processes. And the fourth area, which I get most excited about, is bending the curve of innovation. How can we use AI to reimagine our business with new products, new services, new business models? And how are companies doing this? It starts with Copilot. I would be very upset if anybody took M365 Copilot away from me. It's become just a fabric of the way I work every day. But then you take it to the next level when you use agents to automate all of your business processes. But when you really become frontier, it's about you. It's about how you apply your creativity and your leadership with copilots and agents. That's what it means to become frontier. And if we look at the pace of AI adoption in the US, this is happening faster than any technology that we have seen in the last 20 years. It took the internet 20 years to get to scale. Mobile, 15 years. Cloud, 10 years. And AI reached mass adoption in just 3 years. Back in 2022, 33% of companies were using AI in their businesses. And in 2025, it's at over 80%. Now, one of the reasons why companies have been able to get to scale so quickly is because of the foundation that you have already laid. You have started to move your workflows from on-prem to the cloud. You've gotten your digital estates in order. You've modernized your infrastructure. These technology investments are allowing our customers to implement AI at a pace that I have not seen in my long career in tech. But the other thing that's interesting with AI and why we are seeing broad adoption is because of the industry lens on it. At Microsoft, we've worked with our customers to share what it means to become frontier with each different industry. Because you have your own regulations, you have your own compliance rules, you have your own priorities. In retail, it's about things like personalized shopping. In healthcare, it's about things like personalized care. In manufacturing, it's about automating your factories. And the data shows that this industry-specific approach is working. In fact, 67% of frontier firms are monetizing industry-specific AI use cases to boost revenue. And we're going to hear from some of those in just a couple of minutes. But I also encourage you to look at where you are on your frontier journey compared to peers in the industry. We recently ran a study with IDC to see what industries are leading in becoming frontier firms, and there are 4 at the top of the pack: financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, and consumer products. So take a look and see where you compare. So now what I would like to do is to invite our panelists on stage to join me to talk about their journey to becoming frontier. Jason, thank you. First of all, thank you all so much for joining me today. So maybe we could just start by first, each of you introducing your name and your company and what you do.
I'm Jason Gowans. I'm with Levi Strauss & Company. Been with the company 3 years almost, and serve as the company's Chief Digital and Technology Officer. And before that, I was with Nordstrom for 10 years. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Mark Austin, I'm at AT&T, and I have the data science and AI team there in the Chief Data Office.
Hi, good afternoon. It's nice to be here back in the stage in Ignite. My name is Nallan Sriraman, go by Sri. I am the Chief Technology Officer for Mass General Brigham, one of the largest healthcare organizations in the US and also largest academic medical center in the US.
Hi, my name is Oliver Ganschar. I'm from Kraft Heinz, working on four and a half years with the company. We are well known for our beautiful products such as Heinz ketchup or our Philadelphia cream cheese. Before that, my whole life I was working in operations.
Hello everyone, this is Rajesh from ABB. My role is the Chief Digital Officer for Process Automation ABB. I've been in the industry for 33 years. ABB is a global technology leader in electrification and automation. And we have a heritage of more than 140 years. In fact, very few companies who have been pioneering all the industry revolutions and serving customers over 100 countries. We help customers with our domain and technology expertise to make them outperform leaner and cleaner.
Excellent, thank you. And I have the pleasure of knowing a bit about how each of you are using AI to become frontier, but maybe we could share a little bit with that with the audience of how you're using AI in your organization today. And to switch it up, Oliver, let's start with you.
Yes, so I'm really fortunate that I went through the full life cycle of the digital transformation here at Kraft Heinz. And we also went through the typical maturity stages, providing visibility, providing additional insights, getting recommendations, and at the end game is being autonomous. Here at Kraft Heinz, our AI journey is about solving problems. So what are the biggest problems on what we should focus on? How should we prioritize them? And based when we have defined our problems, we select the right technology to address them, to support our hourly workers. And depending on the problems, when it's just about visibility, sometimes Microsoft Power Apps is more than enough. We truly believe at Kraft Heinz that we need to merge our management system with digital technologies so we have the full impact of digital. When we're thinking more advanced, going in the stage of autonomous, we have created our first digital twin. Of course, when you think about digital twin, you're thinking about the 3D replica of your asset. But we are solving really specific problems on the shop floor to support our hourly workers.
Thank you so much. And I was sharing this with you earlier, but big fans of Kraft Heinz ketchup at my house with my 10-year-old son. We definitely have to keep it in stock all the time. Sri?
Yeah, thank you. I think, when it comes to healthcare and AI is not new to healthcare research. Research has been using for many years, at least 10 plus years, in the name of radiology, in genomics, etc. What changed in the last 3 years is the impact of generative AI and how that's accelerating So when we, in MJB, when we look at AI for our community, we look at what does this mean for our doctors and nurses who have to care for patients, and what does this mean for our employee experience. So this is where what we do is we look at how can we reduce the burden on our community. I think most of you have been in the keynote this morning. 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀 talked about ambient documentation. That's a game changer for our doctors who have to type in clinical notes. Instead, you just put a little device, and the doctor is having communication with you, conversing with you, and talking about what's going on with you. And then at the end of the conversation, press the button, the clinically relevant notes gets captured into your electronic health record. It's one of the amazing things about the technology is it gives what we call pajama time to our doctor's bag, because otherwise what happens is they have to go home, take the handwritten papers and notes to a home and start typing it at home. So I think from the healthcare perspective, that's one of the major things that has evolved into adopting into at scale. And then when you look at on the other side, employee experience, like everybody else in this room and yourself, we are a big Office 365 Copilot customer. And like you, I cannot live without Copilot. So everything revolves around me. And this morning, when I watched WorkIQ, I asked the questions that have been asked today. Okay, based on all the documents I've written, emails I've written, conference calls I've attended. Okay, hey, can you just give me answers for this? And then I looked at it like, oh my God, this is going to replace me, right? So I'm still here. I think it's really important how we leverage. So this is where it helps, as Kathleen talked about, us. It's all about us plus AI plus the Agentic, how we effectively use. And a last bit from our perspective, combining the Copilot and the use case we talked about in the doctors, et cetera, we also opened up pretty much to our entire organization what we call AI Zone. AI Zone is actually a very highly secure, auditable environment where it's built on Foundry, Microsoft Foundry, where we use that, we offer it to our community to access whatever they want to do, including confidential PHI information so that it can be secured and it can be tracked. So we are on the journey. We are not done yet anytime soon, but we are on the journey.
Yeah, I love the impact in healthcare, especially when you talk about pajama time, on giving both the doctor time back in the evening and then making the patient feel, more engaged and cared for during the visit. So that's great. Jason, how about you?
Yeah, so Levi's, we've been around for more than 175 years, almost 175 years, and for most of that time, we've sold men's jeans to wholesale retailers. But starting about a decade ago, we really made a big pivot towards being a D2C retailer and growing our women's business and our tops business. And if you fast forward today, about half the business is direct to consumer, with about 10% of the total business being e-commerce. And so when you think about what that means for us, it really means that we got to elevate the consumer experience, and we also got to speed up the employee experience, so helping the company operate at the speed of retail. And so a huge focus for us with AI has been how do we create meaningful and better employee experiences, and how do we deploy AI to create memorable consumer experiences?
I love that. And then also being a company that's been around for over 100 years, you're not the only one on the panel here, using AI to stay relevant, to transform not only the employee experiences, so you're a place where they want to work, but then also the consumer experiences as well. Okay, great. Rajesh?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, as a frontier, we also embed AI in all the 4 areas, whether it's for the people, whether it's for the business process and customer experience, as well as for our products and offerings. But we started our journey more on the customer products and offerings that we give to our customers in the industries. So in fact, almost 10 years back, we started our industrial AI journey with a partnership with Microsoft, building what we call as GenX as an industrial IoT platform, which is getting your OT, IT, ET data together and connected assets, connected operations, and connected processes. But then we looked at our journey for automation to autonomous journey, right? So which is like first getting digital. Last 3 years, by unlocking the generative AI using the GenX Copilot, which is our Copilot on using the Azure OpenAI and the Azure AI Foundry. So we are able to now bring the value of impact of AI to the people on the shop floor. I call us a shop floor to top floor or field operations to enterprise. That is taking us closer to the autonomous And now, last 18 months, we are excited about agentic automation. With Genix agentic automation, we are able to really make the autonomous journey for people across the industries, for whether it's for operational efficiency or process reliability and asset reliability, or even for the energy management, emissions, and sustainability as well. Yeah.
So many different areas, so many opportunities, but also again, like focusing on the people, on the frontline worker, on the shop floor.
Absolutely.
There, helping them enhance their skills, making it a place where people want to work as well.
In fact, if I had to just add, I've been in the AI for last 15 years. Even my doctorate is in AI. But what I'm really getting excited is the last 3 years, where the frontline workers are seeing the value of AI with the Copilot, and more importantly, the generative AI and agentic automation.
Great. And Mark, how about AT&T?
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised when you threw up that last chart that 6% of the telco were Frontier.
Oh.
So I'm
You're
kind of
leading.
glad
You're
my peers are a bit behind.
I thought you might have something to say about that.
But I can tell you a little bit about our journey. I remember Christmas 2022 when OpenAI model dropped, and we were like, whoa, this is pretty powerful. I could see that our coders are going to have a lot of fun with this. And the first thing we said is we have to lock this down because our coders are going to be so tempted to paste their code out on the internet and they'll be trained on it. And sure enough, that happened to some company near after. So Azure helped us with that. We had the Azure and OpenAI, had a secure endpoint. And then I was thinking, our first use case would probably be internal, but it was surprising. Our first Gen AI use case was straight to the customer. So we had a chatbot on att.com, and it could only answer a certain percentage of the questions. And we said, oh, we know the answer to them. They're in the documents. So we put RAG on top of it, and sure enough, we cut half the answers that it couldn't answer. Cut those in half. So that was like the first use case. And then we've been kind of growing from there. So we teach it internal. We call it Ask AT&T. So everybody has that. We've been teaching it about AT&T since then. So we have 91 use cases, Gen AI solutions, all sorts of RAG use cases, fine tuning. We're doing 9 billion tokens a day, or words a day that are kind of going through it. So it's at scale. And I think as of a year ago, we were 2x ROI in year. So.
I love hearing that. In the keynote this morning, many of you probably heard Judson talking about companies getting real value out of AI. And that's an example where you've been able to get real value with the 2 times ROI and the 91 different use cases. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about now how you guys got to the place where you are. How did you get from pilot to scale? Are there lessons learned? Are there things you would like our audience to know that maybe you did on your journey that you would have wished you had done differently? Jason?
Yeah, I think the big realization for us is that this is a cultural transformation. The tools are just a small part of the equation. And I can think of 2 examples. The first example is our AI assistant in the stores. We call it Stitch. And it's a neat story because it all started with a former store manager who went through our internal machine learning boot camp, joined the data and analytics team, and then during a hackathon that we had, they came up with the initial idea for Stitch. Using Copilot, we very quickly piloted it in 1 store. We then scaled it to 10, and we've since scaled it to more than 60 stores. And really the goal is to make sure that the stylist never has to say, I don't know. And my daughter, she's 17, she's peak holiday support in one of the stores right now. She started 2 weeks ago. And a tool like Stitch is one that can immediately give a kid confidence to serve customers in our stores. So that's one example that I think has met with a lot of success. The other one is Copilot. So by now, we've deployed Copilot to more than 1,600 employees throughout the company. And again, really the game changer for us was when we invested in training, digital skilling, and created these digital champions. Just in the past 2 weeks, we had these development days. We had more than 1,300 employees participate. And the result of that, of course, is that they can imagine things that we could never have imagined ourselves. And so by now, we have more than 130 AI agents that are deployed throughout the company. And it's all thanks to the employees being empowered to do that themselves.
I see that in my own team as well, is when you open AI up to the possibilities, the ideas that come from all the different employees aren't the ones us sitting in our, our offices would be able
Right.
to come up with. And that's also great with your daughter being a store employee. You probably surge a lot at the holidays, so being able to use AI to help your new employees get up to speed.
Yep, absolutely.
Oliver, how about Kraft Heinz?
We're also more than 100 years old.
Yes.
We have a lot of complexity to manage, with more than 5,000 SKUs. If like in this business, manage 5,000 SKUs is some kind of complexity. But to give you one use case on what we're looking at, with all those experience, with all those knowledge, we're looking for help to digitize this knowledge. So how could we help, how could Copilot help to digitize the knowledge of our ketchup masters? Like, don't laugh, but we actually have ketchup masters who hold knowledge for more than 40 years. So how can we take their brain, digitize it, and extract the knowledge when needed? So we basically took Copilot and we asked those ketchup masters, hey, what are the top 100 problems you need to solve every day? Because in real life, when you work on the shop floor, when you're the super expert, you're getting called on a regular basis every day, more than 30 times. Okay, so we had these interviews. We basically brought now structured data, the data from the line itself, from the assets, and the unstructured data from the ketchup masters together, provided the daily worker and tablet on the shop floor, provided Copilot, and they basically could ask Copilot how they're solving certain issues. Or could you provide this report to me? Or how would you address this issue in order to improve performance? The beauty about the shop floor is you're getting direct feedback because either the line is up or the line is down. On the other hand, we're talking a lot about the technology itself. We're at Kraft Heinz, we have a product lifecycle management process for digital products in place as well. It's like cars. You have a beautiful mock-up in real life, you have the pilot, and then you scale. We do the same thing. We assess the problem, then we discover it together with the function itself, and then we build something in an incubator. And if it's still creating value, we're going to scale it across the globe.
So Oliver, my son is looking at careers. I will have to tell him that Ketchup Master is a career. But also, it's great that you're taking the knowledge of those Ketchup Masters, that have been so deep into that for years and making that more accessible to others. Now, Sri, you're in a very highly regulated industry, a lot with patient privacy. Can you talk a little bit about your journey?
Sure. First of all, we are a 220-year-old company.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, just to set the tone,
We have a contest here.
Yeah, it's a
175, 150,
Just adding our
100.
together.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And innovation is in our blood, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be here in the medical advancement where we are of the many generations of doctors and scientists, what they've done to the community. So obviously, when GPT became prevalent, everybody wants to experiment what it can do for their individual life. So the last 3 years, probably at any given point in time, we have probably had about 30 to 40 proof of concepts going on. Then there was Epiphany that hit us about 6 months ago. Okay, this is not going anywhere. So we pretty much stopped all other so-called POCs, pilots, etc. But having said that, there are 2 pilots that became very successful. One was the ambient documentation that you guys saw this morning, but we've been on it for the last 2 years. And then we decided to scale that to the entire doctor population of about 7,000 doctors. So that was a great decision that we made. Just roll it out to everybody as an investment from our side. Second, we were piloting leveraging generative AI for clinical trials, patient recruitment, and patient identification first, and then potential recruitment, and then building on that. We just spun up that as a company, as a service for other, so that not only we can benefit from that, we also other healthcare organizations and pharma can benefit from that. So we just spun up that. 2 great stories of, more focused pilot, value creation, and then generating significant value for us.
So just on that, Sri, when I was talking about the 4 use cases, I said that bending the curve on innovation is my favorite. So that's a good example of coming up with like a new service, a new business that you then spun off because of generative AI.
Absolutely. I think what the Epiphany was, we are a typical buy company. We buy products from Microsoft, Epic, Workday, ServiceNow, the 4 partners were staged in the stage today. So, and when we talk to all of them, they're all, all of you are innovating there. So why not buy? Why we have to build it? So that was Epiphany that, okay, when we looked at all the POCs, our partners are already building it. Why not partner with them and accelerate the adoption, bring it in? Because when you saw some of the demos this morning on Epic, the doctor doesn't want to go outside to do something. They want to be in the Epic to do whatever they need from the AI perspective. Same thing in Workday. If I'm in Workday as a manager and I want to do something, I don't want to go out and go to another tool. I want Workday to give me those capabilities. So that's why we kind of killed pretty much all the proof of concept that are going on in various places, and then said, how can we partner with our key partners and then start building and rolling out? And we are actually, in the last 6 months, significantly accelerated our adoption of some of those capabilities from the partners. And then the last thing I would say is we also started asking about what is ROI on AI, right? So this is where, again, it may be a surprise coming to you guys, some of you. We was trying to differentiate between AI on personal productivity versus enterprise departmental productivity. So I would classify the pajama time, Copilot giving us extra coffee time, et cetera, as a personal productivity. The stand we have taken is that productivity, first of all, how much we can afford? Everybody thinks hospitals have a lot of money. No, we are not. We are all under red. So we can only, whatever we can afford. It's like how we buy our own AI models from the market for our personal use. How much we can afford, that's we afford, and we offer that. But then when it comes to enterprise productivity and departmental productivity, et cetera, use of AI, and we are treating it as any other digital initiative. There has to be a business case. There has to be a consequence at the back of the business case and value realization, and then we are conscious about and rolling out consciously.
A lot of good nuggets in there, but I'll take from that about the partner component, that your employees want to stay in the flow of the work, and then leveraging the agents, the AI that are in the partner solutions, is allowing them to stay in the flow of work, and you don't have to build it yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, next, one of the questions that I often get when I engage with customers across industries is we want to learn from other industries. I showed you the slide that showed who's leading. So as you were on your frontier journey, were there other industries that you learned something from, or any functions, like marketing or supply chain, where there was a nugget that came from another industry? So on this one, Mark, we'll start with you.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this question, and what did we learn? If I think about transformation, we've been doing transformation for as long as I can remember. Every year, something we're transforming. And I think about, there's this really strange study that came out. MIT came out with a study, said 95% of Gen AI's kind of projects fail. And I was like, how is that possible? I had to read it like 2 or 3 times. Is that true? Because we experienced the opposite of that. We experienced most of them were actually succeeding. And I was trying to think about what did we do to kind of make that success? And I think it's we had so many of these transformations over the years. What we typically do is we kind of scoop innovation dollars from all the business units, and we make them compete back on the best ideas, right? So it comes into a stack rank thing from an ROI, free cash flow. This is not counting the productivity stuff, so this is like true budget impacting stuff. And we make everybody compete there. Now the nice thing is you get the best ideas, but the second thing is you find reuse, okay? And you find common patterns. Like when we did that first chatbot, that was a question and answer thing. It was like, we got lots of those things, right? Ask HR, we have, we did it in customer care. Like, well, even the agent has that. And we put it there, and sure enough, they're 33% faster in answering questions. And then we said, well, what else are they doing? Well, they're summarizing things at the end of the call. We can have AI do that. Maybe we should summarize it at the front of the call so they know what's actually the customer going to do. But you find these patterns, and that's where you turn it into the platform, right? So Azure AI Search is great for that with the RAG, but you find common things. So we kind of dub all these things in the platform. We have Ask Docs for Ask Documents, RAG. We have Ask Data for text to SQL stuff. We have agent stuff, and you put all this together, and you find things. That way, everybody builds off each other. And it helps you on the ROI as well, right? So that's kind of the thing. So I think the lesson learned I had is that kind of the common transformation basics is kind of get kind of common thing, compete, and then find the reuse on the platform there too.
Great. Rajesh, how about you at ABB?
Yeah, sure. ABB, if I were to be honest, about 10 years back also, we were a lot of what we call as mushroom AI solutions, right? Which are used across. When I joined in 2019, also started building a digital center of excellence. First thing is to build a platform approach for having AI at scale. So, and for us, it's an industrial AI, right? Domain as well as the data-driven. Of course, with this, which is our flagship platform, we are able to build more than 50 different industrial AI applications that are really making an impact in different industries, whether it's energy, utilities, manufacturing, or transportation. For instance, unplanned downtime is cut down by like 60%. We're able to improve the scheduling and efficiency by 15%, able to increase the asset reliability by 15 to 18%, optimize the emission by about 18% on sustainability and so on. Those are really a fantastic impact on using the what we call now traditional AI or analytical AI. As you rightly said, so what's the next level of autonomous journey is to get that insights to the field engineers. Well, just a very quick example, right? Imagine an instrumentation engineer on the shop floor who is actually seeing a problem on a gas analyzer. These gas analyzers from ABB, which are like 40,000 analyzers, these are continuously measuring the industrial emissions like CO2, methane, ammonia, and whatnot. Imagine if they are not calibrated, the plant even it could be shut down. So it's pretty critical. Today, they are able to just scan the dynamic QR code of the analyzer, goes back to the Genix Copilot on cloud, which is based on the Azure AI Foundry. And it's basically working with about 21 different agents behind of getting the data from operational data, work order data, as well as the data sheets, and giving the recommendations back to the engineer who's a customer. So the user is getting, now the frontline worker is getting 24/7 expertise of ABB without having a service engineer from ABB. So for me, that is autonomous operations of making a human a lot more autonomous to be able to make decisions and make an impact quickly. We saw that 80% of our L1 service tickets are gone. So the troubleshooting time is reduced by 60% for the person in the shop floor. That's a transformative impact. Of course, the learning for us has been is that you have to look at closing the loop of from not just using decision makers to use AI. There is a study from McKinsey that unless 30% of your organization uses a technology, you're not going to make a transformation. So this needs to make it to even the people on the floor. I guess this loop of making from decision maker to the functional specialist to the operational workers and field engineers, that's making an impact.
It's a big theme that we've heard about making this available to all employees at all levels. Jason, how about you at Levi's?
A couple of things come to mind. The first is media companies. We draw a lot of inspiration there. If we think about Spotify or Netflix, they're most famous for personalization. And so as we think about the use of AI and agents, particularly in the consumer side, but also employee side, we definitely believe that the future is more personalized. So it's not enough that these things can just chat conversationally with you. They need to know me. Yeah. So when we think about styling or outfits or size and fit guidance, all of those are predicated on knowing you. And so we're definitely spending a lot of time making sure that the work we do, particularly on the consumer side, is truly personalized. I think the second thing is looking to you all as hyperscalers. The world's gone exponential. We're talking about power, CapEx, GPUs, GPT capabilities. Everything is on an exponential curve. And yet most of us enterprise companies live on this kind of steady linear curve, or linear line more accurately. And so every day wasted is a day that you're not gaining velocity, and this stuff compounds. And so we got to work with speed.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Work with speed.
Yep.
Okay, last question for each of you. In 1 minute or less, you are already well on your frontier transformation. What's next? Sri?
Wow, 1 minute, pressure's on. If there's something that we can look at that we want to be more effective is embedding patient care decisions in the workflow of the doctor. So that goes back to what your point, doctor plus AI, better patient outcome. Very quickly give an example. Hospital infection is common, everybody knows that. Can we predict who's going to be more susceptible to the infection? Can we predict that and reduce the time for cure rather than waiting for longer for infection to be fested? The other quick example is when you walk in, hopefully you don't go to an ER. If you ever go to an ER, we want to make sure that your wait time is reduced. And also, if you're not acute enough, you don't need to go to admitted in the hospital. Rather, we send you to a home hospital system that gives you exact same care that you would have been in the hospital building that we own. So I think for us, the most important aspect of AI is about helping doctors make better decisions in a shorter amount of time, given the amount of data that they have to process.
Big impact there. Rajesh?
Yeah, for us, first is to continue our leadership on getting our customers to see the value of the AI in the products and offerings we provide. Second is to look at our business process and customer experience to really look at agentic automation, which we are still in the midst of the journey of using it. For instance, I mentioned Services Copilot is fundamentally ABB has 40% of its revenue coming from the services. Imagine that the agentic copilot that we have, Genix, can make even a 1% efficiency improvement. That's going to be millions of money for us, a greater user experience for customers. And of course, people productivity, we use quite a lot of a GitHub Copilot for the software development, but also people productivity using the 365 Copilot as well. And today, the WorkIQ, and of course, all the three of that, whether it's Fabric or Foundry or using us to be able to use that for the people's upliftment of skills. I think that's going to be big for us. So the agentic automation, orchestration, and autonomous. Right?
Great. Oliver?
I'm very excited on what I've seen today regarding the agent capabilities you presented. Because I started today the conversation with that we have to manage a lot of complexity. And in order to solve end-to-end problems, you need to think end-to-end. So we need to manage from farm to fork. And we're thinking more, what does it take to create a digital twin of a demand planner? What does it take to create a digital twin of a supply planner? What does it take to create a digital twin of a maintenance manager? Because in reality, everyone needs to work together when, for example, there's a black swan event and we have continuous fluctuation on the markets. You have a lot of people running around to solve the problems. So we're trying to create all those agents which are collaborating and solve the problem. I truly believe that we will be the last generation who will just manage humans. I think our organization of the futures will consist of humans and agents.
Great. Jason?
Yeah, for us, having so many agents deployed now, the vision is to create a single embedded layer of intelligence across the whole organization that's orchestrated. And just today, actually, we announced with Microsoft the work that we've done around what we call our super agent, that really is that first pass at orchestrating across the enterprise. And so by doing that, making it really easy for employees to get their work done and hopefully lean into the things that they do best.
Great. And Mark, how about you?
Yeah, so in a minute or less, I would say we want to use AI to build things faster and better with quality. And it's kind of started with coding for us, but I think one thing is we look at what people can do today. There's applications like you have this app builder, which is kind of like a product manager can almost like build apps, right? But can I take it all the way to actually get something close to production that developers would like, right? So I see that kind of merging of design, product, and coding maybe into one, right? So 2 in a box, 3 in a box, so roles kind of merging is one thing. The other thing is, if you think about these agents, we have hundreds of agents too, but if you think about if I'm going to automate a whole lot of workflows in HR, finance, or business, or whatever it is, it takes a long time figuring out what are you actually doing in these workflows, right? And those are interviews. We call them blueprint process. That takes a long time. It would be great if we could have AI help in that too. And some of my peers are doing some amazing stuff is like, well, maybe if I just record a video in terms of what somebody does, let the AI understand what it is to automate, come out with a workflow, and kind of automate that blueprint process too. So I think agents is huge. I'd like to kind of use that. So it's a little bit of debate in the industry. Are we in the year of agents? Or are we in the decade of agents, right? I'd like to use that to make it not take a decade and lower that time.
Well, there have been so many great insights from this panel today. So if I think about, frontier firms here, the frontier transformation that you've been on, and all of these companies, being companies been in business of over 100 years.
200 here, yeah.
220?
You win.
Not quite, yeah. So some of the things that are top of mind that I'm taking from this is, number one, that you managed it as a transformation. This truly is a transformation, and you put in the work as a company as to what is this transformation going to look like. But at the same time, did allow some experimentation. Also, the way the employees are involved. I think almost all of you talked about how getting the ideas from employees, but then also making sure that you're prioritizing the ones that are going to have the biggest impact, either the biggest impact on your business, the biggest impact in employees, how they do their work. But one thing that I take from this is that you're all innovating. You know, you are all innovating at a scale that is moving really quickly. So thank you so much for joining today. And for those of you that are watching, Microsoft is here to help you as a partner on your frontier transformation. And there are some assets that we have available that we encourage you to go and take a look at on our website. The first one is Becoming Frontier by Industry. So that is, oh, my clicker's not working. There we go. So that talks about what it means by industry to become frontier. The second asset is we talked about hero AI use cases by industry and by function. So on our website, you can see from the thousands of customers that we have engaged with, what are the use cases where companies are getting the most amount of value today. The next is the AI Readiness Wizard. Is you can engage with Microsoft to see where you are on your AI readiness, or you can do the wizard yourself. And then next is developing your AI strategy. Again, we're happy to engage with you in a workshop, but you can also go and look at assets that are available to help you develop your AI strategy on our website. And last but not least, as we talked about partners and the power of partners. In the Microsoft Marketplace, partners, all of our partner solutions are available. Most of you probably use these partners in your daily work today, so you can see what solutions they have available for you. And for the rest of Ignite, we'd like to invite you to come and join us on the industry showcase at the Industry Hub. There for each of the industries, we have industry experts, we have demos of many of the use cases that we talked about today. Also, this QR code will show you all of the industry-specific sessions for the rest of the day, and our website has a lot more. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the panelists. Really appreciate you sharing your stories. Thank you.
Thank you.